Good evening and welcome to TalkSports, our weekly program where we discuss sports in general with the movers and shakers in sports, the sportsmen, sportswomen, administrators, coaches, just about everyone involved in sports. Well, good evening from Charlotte in North Carolina. And this evening, as indicated, our special guest is the president of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Associations, Mr. Drumeco Archer. And it's our first time Mr. Archer is on our program, and we'll be speaking about athletics in the Bahamas. As you know, Bahamas is a powerhouse in regional track and field, and they are scheduled to host the 50th anniversary of the CARIFTA Games come next year. It's a big thing for the Bahamas because they also will be celebrating their 50th anniversary of independence. So it's big celebrations in the Bahamas. And you know, the Bahamas always put on a show wherever they go, whether it's in the Bahamas, whether it's in Jamaica, as we saw a few weeks ago, whether it was in Grenada, no matter where they go, the Bahamas has a following when it comes to track and field. Outside of that, even on the international scene, the Bahamas has its own niche. You know, we have for example, the Olympic champions in the 400 meters, men and women, dominated by the Bahamas. Bahamas has been the host for the first host of the international world relays, that's world relays, and they have hosted it more than any other nation. There are plans also for the Bahamas to be the permanent home for the world relays. We'll talk all about that because the president is joining us, and Mr. Archer, no doubt, is in the hot seat, and he will have a lot to talk about because they're also preparing for major track and field championships, the inaugural Caribbean Games, where there will be track and field. You have the Commonwealth Games, we have the World Championships. So let's welcome Mr. Drumeco Archer, who is the president of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Association. Good evening to you, Mr. Archer.
Good evening, Michael. Thank you for those generous comments.
I know quite a lot.
Too good for my ego and the ego of the Bahamas.
No,
But
definitely.
my friends call me Miko, but I mean, you're welcome to
Okay.
say
All
Miko
right.
or me. I'm happy with either.
Okay, so Miko will be fine with me. I will adopt it from now on. And thanks for joining us. But as indicated, quite a lot for the Bahamas, and let's probably use a few minutes just to look at the performance of the Bahamas at the recent CARIFTA Games. I know most of the teams were coming out of you know the pandemic. No excuse though, because some obviously outperformed others. The Jamaicans maintained their dominance, etc., etc. We saw the BVI, for example, close third to the Bahamas. But what would you say about the Bahamas' performance at the recent CARIFTA Games?
Before I remark on the Bahamas' performance, I think that this is an opportunity to talk about how the region is closing the gap between itself and Jamaica. I saw phenomenal performances across the Caribbean region, and that bodes well for the CARIFTA Games.
Mhm.
If I should take a greater analysis of where the Bahamas stood, I thought that we were underwhelming in our performances, but there would have been good reason for it. The under 20 division, which we thought would have been an incredibly strong division, both male and female, we found that many of our athletes just did not attend the games for collegiate commitments. Together with injuries, we just didn't have as strong a team as we possibly could have had. But again, I think that when you look at our team, there are ebbs and flows in the composition of any team. One year can be stronger than the other. So, all in all, when we do our postmortem, we still see that there are high marks, and in preparation for next year, we believe that we'll be even stronger than we were this year.
Mhm. And certainly, as you said, that despite the Jamaicans with the 1-2-3, 2-3, 1-3, etc., as you quite rightly said, A number of the islands are really catching up in terms of
Yeah,
performances as well. But
absolutely.
yeah, that's good. So, what would you say would be back to the drawing board for the Bahamas?
Well, we took a forensic approach to why we are not as strong as we have been in very specific areas. We've always been dominant in the vertical and horizontal jumps. And so we've gone back to the drawing board to consider where we are. If you understand track and field in the Bahamas, you'll know that we're driven by a club system. And while there's been a proliferation of clubs in the Bahamas, that has a way of, I suppose, isolating some of the very good athletes that we overlook. Because with a club system, there are dues that are paid. There's a financial obligation to being a part of a club. And I think that what has happened over the years is that we have overlooked a lot of the public school students who are not members of clubs. And I believe that that's where most of our talent lie. The Bahamas is an archipelago, and so one of our greatest challenge is trying to identify talent throughout the length and breadth of the Bahamas. And so we've generally focused on New Providence or Nassau, as you might know it, and Grand Bahama, with smaller focus on Andros. But certainly, what we're going to be doing is the reverse of that, and that will start with a national training program where we will engage all of the family islands to a standardized training platform that we plan to roll out over the summer break.
Yeah,
And
well,
I think
yes.
that will increase discoverability for the federation, and it should yield better results for us next year.
But how feasible is that? Well, feasible, difficult, challenging with the Bahamas, with so many islands, and I assume so many talents available.
Yeah, I mean, we have. I think that we're just genetically blessed, and so uh, discoverability is not as difficult as one might imagine.
Mhm.
I think that if I had to make a business decision, I would certainly look at the more densely populated islands to pinpoint before I go to the smaller populations of islands. And so, if we start with 7 islands that make up the largest composition
Mhm.
of Bahamians, then I think that we're off to a great start. But even in the Bahamas, in New Providence, where you have more than 200,000 persons on one island,
Yeah.
we just haven't tapped into. I think what we've been relying on is the 20% versus the 80%, and so our focus will be very different moving into the plans for next year.
Mhm. All right. So, quite challenging for the Bahamas in terms of that. Let's look at we'll come back to some of those development programs as well. But I know it's nothing new for the Bahamas in terms of hosting the CARIFTA Games. The Bahamas, as a matter of fact, maybe one of, I think Jamaica must be close now or level to the Bahamas in terms of the number of times they would have hosted the CARIFTA Games, 8, 9, somewhere around there, in terms of
Yes.
counting. So certainly the Bahamas knows how to bring out the A game when it comes to hosting these sort of competitive international high caliber track and field championships. What can we be look out for come next April Easter weekend?
Gargantuan LED, a new track. I think that one of the things that we want to do differently is to not only consider the competition, but also the entertainment aspects of things. We've always carried John Canoe with us, but I believe that the Bahamas offers so much more. And there will be a great focus on entertainment at the CARIFTA Games because we want to sell not only just sports but also entertainment, and we want to be able to give a product that people will remember. And so the CARIFTA Games has always been very special to the Bahamas. I think it has great marketability that makes it easy to sell the product. But more importantly, I think that Bahamians love track and field, and so they can't wait to see a display of what we will present 50 years later of independence.
Yeah, and
So we,
as
we're gonna rock the show.
And not just 50 years of independence, but 50 years of CARIFTA Games as well, the 50th anniversary of the CARIFTA Games. So quite a lot for the Bahamas.
And more so, I think that one thing that we often overlook is that this will also be, I think, 50 years of CARICOM. And our leader, the Prime Minister, Philip Brave Davis, will be the chairperson for CARICOM. And so we're going 53 times.
Yeah, right. Yeah, certainly. But so it will be a challenge for the the B3As certainly to get things in order, not just in the terms of hosting, but in terms of performance, in terms of participation. Therefore, it goes back to your earlier point you made in terms of, I assume, talent identification and all these things. How soon will the B3As be ensuring that they will be in search of talent, and the best of the Bahamas will be on display come that Easter weekend?
I think that following the CARIFTA Games, there was a moment of reflection where I think that we gave gave each other a tongue lashing about where we are in our performance. We're not panicking at all because the talent is there. I think that more needs to be done to look outside of our comfort zone and really look at talent search in a very different way. So this would be our first exercise where there is a very deliberate effort to identifying talent in a more strategic way. So I'm very happy and very excited about this program. And I think that we have the fullest support of the government to ensure that we have all of the resources necessary. But CARIFTA is more than just the Bahamas winning. We need to be realistic about what CARIFTA means to all of us. And while Jamaica has a population of what I would say 4 million people, compared to the Bahamas is 400,000. We just love track and field, and we want the Bahamas to be the showcase of what the CARIFTA Games represents throughout the region. And so we, more than just wanting to do well, we want our colleagues and our family, the CARIFTA family, to come and really be a part of something special.
Yeah, well, certainly look forward to all of that. And as indicated earlier, the Bahamas basically and the B3As in general preparing for major track and field championships, some of them back to back, and in some cases looking forward to some of your elite athletes in competition, as well as the World Juniors as well coming up in South America. I think it's in Colombia.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
So tell me about the preparations for these various participation, starting with the inaugural Caribbean Games.
The focus has been unshaken. If you go to the track, you see some of our best athletes training, and they're in full gear. Uh, what is pleasing for us also is that there has been a renewed connection to persons who live outside of the Bahamas, in the United States and other parts of the world, whose kids are Bahamian nationality, who've expressed an interest in participating for the Bahamas. And those athletes have been competing at a very high level. And so we have quite a number of qualifiers for the World Juniors Championships. And so I expect great performances there. Our flagship athlete would be none other than Keyshawn Strawn, who will be defending and doing very well at the moment, being ranked number one in the world. And so we're looking for fine performances from our junior athletes. And then, of course, at the senior level, as you intimated, we're looking forward to really interesting performances down in Eugene, Oregon. I think it's going to be a fantastic environment for all of our athletes to do very, very well. And so at the moment, we have 9 qualifiers. We have 2 of our 4x4 men and women relay team who are within the top 16. And so we're looking forward to good performances even in the relays.
Mhm. And not forgetting the Commonwealth Games. The Bahamas have very, a very strong presence in previous Commonwealth Games as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't see this Commonwealth Games being different. We will move immediately from the World Championships, and we will send some of our athletes to Birmingham. But of course, we are always reminded that the Commonwealth Games, always under financial restriction, we have a team size quota where I think that there will be a maximum of 11 athletes that have been identified to travel. And so we look for Commonwealth as big of a team we would like.
Okay.
Determine the team size.
Yeah, I have a question here from Rudian Silvan from Toronto. So, as it will be the 50th Games, what special events you will have? Like, can you invite outside countries for under 20 relay team as an invitational race? And I assume you're referring to the 50th Games of the CARIFTA, which I believe is organized by NACAC under the auspices. Well, you organize the games under the auspices of NACAC, right?
Sure. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure whether they. I think that these are the that would the occasional component very well could, but at the same time, we want to be able to correct the focus. I know that there's been a lot of discussion about the integration of other members of the NACAC family to the CARIFTA Games. Well, that takes away the essence of the games in and of itself. But I think that those are provocative discussions that I'm not quite in a position to be able to talk upon. I certainly can address those issues with my colleagues at NACAC.
Right. What would you say in terms of your elite athletes training? What are the provisions or what are the logistics that are in the Bahamas to encourage your elite athletes to stay and train in the Bahamas, as is the case, for example, like in Jamaica? Are there any impediments or challenges that do not allow, for your athletes to remain in NASA and train?
Well, there are members. I'm audio. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm
Can you hear
hearing
me?
you, but just I'm hearing you in and out. But I'm hearing you now. Let's try it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that we have a state-of-the-art facility that any number of athletes have celebrated training on, and that's one of the ups training elements. And we also the belief is many of our athletes who are educated in the United States have a tendency of staying with their coaches offshore. And so, because the UE structure or the Jamaican structure is quite different in culture and in form, I think that there are different considerations. Additionally, we don't have a camp, if you will, who was sponsored by a shoe company that transplants itself in the state. So these are discussions that coming and being part of a new push for performance training. So one, I think culturally different. Two, I think that because many of our athletes study in the United States, and the fact that we don't have training camps in the Bahamas causes us not to have developed as quickly as Jamaica has in that regard.
But do you recognize that such
Michael,
a
are you hearing me?
disparity? Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I hope you're hearing me now. I'm hearing you. I heard your response.
Yeah, I can hear
I heard I heard your response, and I'm putting it to you now that therefore, are you recognizing that the disparity in some of these sort of challenges, as you outline, are the reasons why the Jamaicans are where they are in terms of their technical abilities and other issues, especially among our junior athletes, because they do not allow, for some reason or the other, their quality junior athletes to leave their shows. They stay and in Jamaica and allow their local coaches to upgrade and to provide the necessary technical know-how for the athletes. Do you think these are some of the challenges other territories like the Bahamas and others are facing? And despite the catching up, they still have a lot to do because the Jamaicans are way ahead in terms of that.
So, I mean, I think we're talking a number of different things here.
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, so you're in and out. I
No,
think we're talking a number of things here. For one, are you with me?
yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear. Yeah.
So we talk about the Jamaican component. When you talk about Jamaica, I think we need to put things in perspective. Jamaica has greater capacity
Mhm.
than other Caribbean. I see a mouth moving.
I believe
The
there's a slight
technology
delay.
is we have some
I believe
interruptions here.
yeah, I believe there's a slight delay, but I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Outside of capacity,
Miko, I think I lost your. Let me make sure. Yeah, I think you have muted yourself. Try to unmute yourself. You're still right. You're unmuted now. No, somehow I'm not hearing you now. We were hearing you before, but I'm not hearing you now. But I was hearing you before. I don't know what's the problem now, but I think you're hearing me, right? Okay, so it's something on your end. Let's see if we can fix that and come back to you in a moment there. I think we just lost the audio of Miko. We'll see if we can rectify that at the back and come back. But very interesting what you were saying there. Certainly, I want to hear what more he has to add to that. But I know he has been, outlining some of the challenges that they are facing. Let's see if we can get him back, and certainly we'll have him there. We're speaking to Miko Archer, that's Drumeco Archer, who is the president of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Associations, that's the B3As. And he has been speaking about some of the challenges that other nations, Caribbean nations, are facing when it comes to track and field. The Jamaican dominance, no doubt, continues. Okay, and yes, when you look at the population size compared to the others, as he says, Jamaica with about, let's say, 4 million, to compare to the Bahamas with about 400,000, Grenada 100,000, BVI, 30,000. He believes that they are catching up. Okay, they are catching up. That's what Jamaica Miko is saying. That he believes that they are catching up. Let's see if we have him now. Miko, are you there now?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Right, loud and clear, Nico, loud and clear. So,
Good.
yes, the point what you were making, and I was while you were off for just that minute there, I was just reiterating the point in terms of the challenges these smaller nations face. And yes, as you indicated, in the case of Jamaica, 4 million, Bahamas, 400,000, BVI, 30,000, Grenada, 100,000, etc., etc. So, in terms of population size, in terms of, the number of, the talents available, I should say, certainly Jamaica has a bigger quota. But the
I
Jamaicans,
think that
the Jamaicans are doing something
factors.
that we probably are not doing. Go ahead.
Well, listen. Um, every successful program starts with resources. If you look on at the very base level, almost every school in Jamaica is supported by BAAA. Training camps are supported by major companies that invest millions of dollars into those programs. I believe when you talk about a return on your investment, Puma had greatest from why wouldn't and one wouldn't that program can feel program. I think that has done attracted other shoe companies to train and transplant themselves into a Jamaican environment because now you're talking about capacity once again. So there's no question why Frano has Nike. There's a hub that they bought. They athlete. There was a huge push to ensure that Puma maintained the marketability of Jamaica. Jamaica is a brand in track and field. And only because of the way they have monetized that through always Jamaican Usain Bolt. And so what you then have is this the emergence of this new culture that says that if I perform at the highest level, I can be just like him or her. And so those are the differences that I believe dominate the culture and environment of Jamaica as compared to one that's very different throughout the Caribbean.
Okay. Another question here. What do you think is the challenge to get Caribbean athletes who attend schools in the United States to return and compete for their countries at the CARIFTA Games?
I think the challenge has always been the competing track and field calendar. There are some coaches who place a priority on their athlete, their treasured athlete that they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to ensure that they are protected from injury, to compete for their own interest, as opposed to coming to the CARIFTA Games where they're exposed and vulnerable to injury and that sort of thing. So it's a question of priority. And then, of course, the, from country to country, then becomes a question of priority for even the athlete itself. Some decide that being in school or being in university is a greater priority than coming to compete at the games. And let's face it. One week even the CARIFTA Games, you had a jam-packed stadium in Jamaica for boys and girls champs. Yes. The following week at the CARIFTA Games, I think you had a quarter of the. So again, we talk level event to me and you versus the competing stakeholders of the very same athlete.
Quite an interesting point, quite an interesting observation. um, Here is another comment here. Good night, Mr. Bascom and Mr. Archer. I do believe Jamaica do have a more organized structure in place. However, other countries like your own, I do believe there are skillful coaches capable of moving the athletes up the ranks. I just think the business community and government can do a little more, especially in the smaller islands, to boost the sport.
There is no question about that. I would agree with that comment. But
And
again,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
there's this question of social. There is this push for corporate social responsibility, and I think that that's an important component. But oftentimes, um, the sponsoring partner would say, "What are the deliverables? What do I get in return? What is my level of exposure that I can enjoy from my giving monies there, or just giving money just for giving sake?" And so a lot of these considerations are business considerations. And at the end of the day, if there's no return on your investment, what is the real push? Unless governments get involved, most important on to invest a percentage of whatever they develop uh,
Yeah, certainly. That's always a problem there. Um, and yeah, really hoping that yeah, that's how it is most times. And the as you say, the corporate side of things, the business side, and in sport is no secret that when you know corporate X gets involved, corporate X wants to ensure that there's a return on the investment. But I like the point you were making, and I really want you to develop it more because it has to do with the brand. You spoke about Jamaica as a brand. How do you think the Bahamas, for example, can also go into the Bahamas as a niche brand? I know the Bahamas is very attractive for a lot of sports tourism in particular, as we see whether it's the NBA players, whether it's the college footballers, the NFL college footballers, they say, having you know a game in the Bahamas. And as you see, some of the NBA, the Miami Heat will have their off season, in the Bahamas as well. So in terms of sports tourism, yes, the Bahamas. But when it comes to track and field, how do you think the Bahamas can push itself as a brand? Miko, I'm hoping that you got my question. Oh, I think we may have. Oh, sorry, yeah. No, I think we may have a still now with him, so I have to um, get back to him in a moment. We're just having a little technical problem on his end there, but I see. I think he's back now. So let me see if I can get him to answer that particular question. It has to do with yeah, Nico, you're back now. The brand Bahamas as the brand. How do you think, and if you can just unmute a bit, how do you think the Bahamas could, in terms of track and field in particular, in that light, could be a brand, just as how the Jamaicans are ensuring that they are a brand. Your audio. I'm missing your audio. I'm missing your audio. I think you're muted. Right. Let's go. Oh no. We lost you again. We lost you again, Miko. We lost you again just for that moment. Let me see what could be the problem there. We lost you a moment there. I think he needs to get it up, and we'll get back to him on that aspect there. We just lost his audio. Um, just having a little technical problem on his end for tonight. Everything was going pretty well at the start, but I think we had a little problem there. Let's see if we have him back now and getting the audio. Am I getting you now? Okay. I'm seeing you, but I'm not sure, and I believe you're hearing me, but I'm not sure if I'm hearing you unless you say something. No. So I don't think we have the audio. We don't have the audio back as yet. We don't have your audio as back. Okay, so you're hearing me, but I'm not hearing you. I'm seeing the okay, right. So I know what he's saying there now. Yeah. So let's just see if we can iron out that audio problem, get Mr. Archer back so he can, provide us with that feedback regarding the brand, the track and field, and it's something that they have been talking about throughout the region. How it is, yeah, um, you know, being a brand, and we have him back, and I know he wants to speak on that aspect of brand because a lot of executives, I should say, track and field executives around the region have been talking about the brand. But what are the challenges in terms of ensuring that there is a niche track and field? The Bahamas has a legacy of track and field for many, many years. So my question to you, Mr. Archer, is how can you ensure that the Bahamas and possibly other smaller nations like the Bahamas can have a brand in track and field?
You, I think that we are unique. There are a number of characteristics that I think that makes the Bahamas a very unique product offering. So, for example, CARIFTA. There is no CARIFTA, many would say, without the Bahamas bringing its contingent of John Canoe alongside it. There simply isn't. And people have come to have a connection to the CARIFTA Games and John Canoe. And there's no apology made for it. And I'm very happy and very proud we are associated with CARIFTA Games and John Canoe. That's a part of our brand. I think geographically we are perfectly situated that even for well, Miami is 30 and it's an inch that and so apart from those very obvious things, I think that we rely on the natural features of the Bahamas. It's a beautiful island, and one of the things that we have always been historically known for is our warm hospitality. And so the one can when you look at the cultural experiences of the Bahamas, and I often like to associate the Bahamian people as being such huge track and field sports enthusiasts that there is a certain momentum that you feel when you come into the facility. It reminds me almost of the World Championships in London. When you get into the London Stadium, you can feel the kind of energy that I think sort of exudes itself when you come into the track and field stadium in the Bahamas. And so I think that that's one of the things that people truly enjoy about being a part of an environment. And let's just use
Mhm.
the World Relays as an example. It didn't matter whether the Bahamas won the event. It didn't even matter whether we placed in the event. The crowd went crazy, event after event, just because we just enjoyed the competition. And so I think that culturally, the Bahamas has always been that kind of nugget that people say, when I go to the Bahamas, I'm going to have a great time. And the experience will be amazing.
Mhm. Well, certainly, I am certain that quite a number of people are looking forward to that because since the Junkanoo wouldn't have to travel, and there's always this query as to how it is the Bahamas. is able to pull this off, whether it's to Trinidad, Tobago, in terms of the South, and whether it was Guyana, if Guyana had the opportunity to host it, they will go. Whichever part of the region that the CARIFTA Games is being staged, that there is always a large contingent of Bahamas parents, spectators, the Junkanoo. And I just want to add there, I recall in 2016 when Grenada was hosting the CARIFTA Games, and I was in Grenada at the time. I was a member of one of the committees, and I remember at one of the meetings, it really the the point came up as well that that folks, you have to be very careful because if we don't do what we have to do, the Bahamas will outnumber our spectators at the stadium. You know, I remember that comment was made that you have to get Grenadians in the stadium, otherwise the Bahamas will outnumber and it will be embarrassing because so be it. The Bahamas within a few weeks or whatever, there was a section cordoned off for the Bahamas because they bought their tickets in advance and etc. etc. So I mean, I'm certain you want to let us know. I don't know if it's a secret, but let us know how it is that the Bahamas pull this off year after year, getting all these folks and the whole logistics in terms of the accommodation, the transportation, and how do you pull it off? Yeah, I think we just have a slight delay in the audio. You may be hearing us now. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So I think we probably would have. I don't know if you're hearing my comment. You're not hearing me. Okay. I guess as much I'm speaking and you're not hearing me. Again, we having that technical issue there on your side. Hopefully, but certainly, quite a lot you gave us regarding the Bahamas and its preparations for the 50th anniversary of the CARIFTA Games come next April. It will be the first week in April, I think. Yeah, or, well, the first weekend, yeah, in April, um, will be the CARIFTA Games in the Bahamas, NASA, the Bahamas, and the folks will be looking forward to have, quite a number of folks there. The Bahamas always, as we know, always putting on a big show, and certainly as indicated, there wouldn't be any need for folks to be traveling out of the Bahamas. They always tend to have a large contingent, and I was asking you, Miko, just before we you sign back on there, how it is the Bahamas gets to pull this off year after year in terms of getting all these folks, the whole logistics, everything involved, getting to these islands, accommodation, everything, year after year. How do you folks pull that off?
Michael, if you can hear, just let me know.
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. Sorry, I'm hearing you. Yeah,
You
I'm
can hear
hearing you.
me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Yeah,
If you can hear me, thumbs up.
yeah, I'm hearing you. Yeah, so go ahead.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I couldn't hear a word
yeah.
that you said. But
Okay.
as we move closer to the end, I just wanted to be very clear about the Bahamas' position with respect to a number of events. The World Relays has been something that we have celebrated as a host for many years for the past first three editions. And while there's no final position that's been taken, the Bahamas has expressed a very clear position of its interest in hosting the World Relays once again. We're excited about that proposition. There has been no confirmations as yet. The bid process begins, I think, June 1st, and certainly I can assure you that with the support of our government, we will be bidding for the 2020 edition of the World Relays. It's equally important for us as it might be for the world itself, because not only will we be to the Bahamas successful, but it will become an Olympic qualifier. And that's important to the Bahamas, because I believe that with that event being the only or the single most important event for the world to participate in, turn of the world relays in the Bahamas can be a very
Okay. Yeah, well, certainly. Yeah. So, yeah, that is quite interesting to hear. In, okay. All right. So, quite interesting to hear in terms of the Bahamas. I'm hoping you're hearing me. I'm hoping you're hearing me. Um, okay. Right. Are you hearing me now? I was hearing you. I heard everything that you said. Well, I think we have a little problem there again. But I heard everything you said regarding the Bahamas hosting of the its intention rather to host the next edition of the World Relays. That to me is quite interesting, and I'm certain that the Caribbean will give the Bahamas all the support that is necessary for that, because having the World Relays in our backyard, as we say, certainly will ensure that there's more participation from the region. I know sometimes we talk a lot about the cost factor, in terms, having a cost factor, etc. But I'm certain that having the World Relays at our backyard in terms of the Bahamas, even though the Bahamas hosted the first three editions, and there were some Caribbean countries that didn't participate. You know, yeah, didn't participate. It's a hope, though, that the world relays return to the Caribbean. And if the world relays, for some reason, becomes if the world relays become almost a permanent fixture in the Caribbean, that we'll see more Caribbean, um, you know, participation. The Bahamas hosted the first three editions, and there were some Caribbean countries, like Grenada, for example, who didn't participate, and questions were asked as to why, you know, country like Grenada at the time with, some of the top quarter milers. But certainly, if it's in your backyard, there's every reason that you should, and you should support the Bahamas, one, in ensuring that they get to host it, and two, that if they have any intentions of making it permanent home, that you also support it. It's in your interest. And we're hoping that Caribbean countries will rally around the Bahamas to ensure that the world relays come to the Caribbean and give the support. Just as how you give the support to the Bahamas to host the CARIFTA Games, public can give the support for the Bahamas to host the world relays as well. Nico, I'm certain if you're back now and you'll want to give us some final words on looking forward to track and field in the Bahamas over the next few months, as you give a summary in terms of preparations continue, athletes, talent search, participation in Caribbean Games, World Juniors, Commonwealth Games, what I'm forgetting. Oh, the World Championships, and of course your elite athletes continue on the international stage, the Diamond League, etc. Give us a wrap here, Nico.
Yeah, this is a very exciting time for the Bahamas, because we're more than just a federation. We're actually a part of the content creation of track and field, and how we tell the story of what track and field represents to the world is a part of the monetization of the sport in and of itself. And I believe that the World Relays is certainly an incredible product offering that has not reached its fullest potential. And so, again, as I'd mentioned before, we believe that given the time of year and given the surrounding events and activities that take place within the Bahamas, such as Carnival and our music festival, we believe that's events can become you're not becoming here, but you're a component. Wonderful. The Bahamas has its eyes set on a number of things, and one of the things that we have not discussed can feel.
Okay, then. So the president. Oh, yeah. Oh, it just went back and forth. He just mute and unmute. Okay, I think. Okay. So let me see. Yeah, there he is now. Yeah. So yeah. Wow. Right. Okay, so we are getting a wrap there from Drumeco Archer, the president of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Associations, the B3As. And despite the technical problems we have had, no doubt, we were able to get quite a bit from him regarding the Bahamas preparing to host one, the CARIFTA Games come next Easter. The Bahamas would hold the 50th edition of the CARIFTA Games. They also will be celebrating their 50th anniversary of independence, and as indicated, CARICOM will be celebrating 50 years. The yeah, will be celebrating 50 years, and the Prime Minister of the Bahamas, as indicated, will be the chairman of the Caribbean Council at this time, and no doubt, as we say, the 50th anniversary CARICOM, 50th anniversary of the Bahamas, as well as the 50th edition of the CARIFTA Games, you know, and all the action will be in the Bahamas. Celebration of our track and field, Caribbean track and field, I think that's what it will be, the celebration of Caribbean track and field in the Bahamas. And, you know, it would be a very good time to be in the Bahamas, as we say, celebrating Caribbean track and field excellence. That will be something around the theme, I believe. I'm not, I'm just giving some ideas here. Celebrating Caribbean excellence in track and field 50 years thereafter. And no doubt, what a better place in the Bahamas to portray that. And certainly it will be something that will be a legacy in going forward. And as we know, the Bahamas has never failed in terms of its, you know, hosting of these major events.
So,
Archer, yeah.
So Michael, I've lost you.
Yeah,
I've lost
just
you again.
yeah.
So let me apologize once again. But
Yeah.
I think that this show certainly didn't do justice for all of the wonderful questions that you've put to me that I probably couldn't have answered you properly or given you a sufficient response and time. So I'm
Mhm.
happy to return to your show at your convenience, perhaps closer
Certainly.
to the time of these events, and we can share more about
Mhm.
track and field in the Bahamas and in the region.
Mhm. Yeah, certainly. I would appreciate that, and we'll ensure that all the necessary things are in place because I'm certain that you have been able to share, from what we gather, you have been able to give a sort of synopsis of what we can expect. But we can go into more details in some of the areas, the technical areas, the in terms of administration, all these other things we can go into, as you say, when we get closer to some of the major events. Probably the World Juniors could be an example where we can look at that because I guess as much all eyes will be on Keyshawn, no doubt, the javelin thrower, although he broke a Grenadian javelin record. Eh? Yeah, yes, and and then we also had our local athlete Rico Moultrie, who went off from Grenada to the Bahamas and basically excelled. So the Bahamas has a sort of there has been a sort of connection between the Bahamas and Grenada to an extent. Moultrie went off, left Grenada, went off to the Bahamas and represented the Bahamas. And then we have Keyshawn, the thrown the javelin thrower who broke the record of Anderson Peters. So there is some sort of thing between the Bahamas and Grenada, as I was saying. Archer Moultrie, our young Rico, who left Grenada, went to compete for the Bahamas, and then we had so there's this sort of connection between Grenada and the Bahamas.
And we've always been brothers and sisters in sport and in business. So we are of
Yeah,
kindred spirit.
yeah, certainly.
In fact, I've not heard from Rico in quite some time. I think it's been
Yeah,
about 3 years. How is he?
yeah.
How is he doing?
Well, I would probably ask his associates in Grenada. In fact, the one who suggested about the corporate, the business community, etc., was actually his local coach in Grenada. So I'll probably reach out to him and ask him because I know he's normally in touch with those folks. So I'll ask him, and I'll probably pass on any word I get to you as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're always happy to be a surrogate. I mean, so you
Yeah,
have to.
okay. All right then. Thank you very much. But certainly I will get back to you in terms of having you on, another program where we can discuss in more details, as I said, to be closer to the World Juniors, for example, or just after the World Juniors, where we can look at other things as we get deeper into the track and field season. I want to thank you, Mr. Archer.
It's been my pleasure, and
Oh,
I think these types of discussions that create
mhm.
opportunity not only for the advancement of the sport, but I'd like to see track and field become a sport that is monetized differently for the benefit of persons like yourself who so selflessly give back to the sport. We hope that one day you'll be handsomely rewarded, and to the
Hey, thank
coaches
you.
and the same way.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thanks very much. Yeah. Okay
Yeah.
then. So that's Mr. Drumeco Archer, Drumeco Archer, the president of the Bahamas Association of Athletic Associations, and from Nassau, the Bahamas. But as he indicated, we'll have him back sometime again. We have been having those presidents of various athletic associations coming on and speaking. We heard from that was a wonderful thing from the BVI, and we have some others coming up again. The Bahamas, no doubt, we had to include the Bahamas because they have a long tradition, and certainly I would have Mr. Archer back as soon as you know, soon as we can do that, we will have him back because I think he has a lot to offer in terms of track and field, in terms of administration, in terms of his foresight, and we really want to know what is will be taking place in the Bahamas. I think we need to give those athletes, those junior athletes, that push. And if there's anything we can do from now to just keep it on the burner, to keep the talking points on, to ensure that we get folks focus in terms of start booking your tickets, start making reservations for the Bahamas. come next Easter, because it will be a big celebration. Don't wait until February and March, to start making those sort of preparations. You have to start doing it as early as possible. As soon as it's possible to make a booking, start making those bookings. I'm telling you, because that's what the folks in the Bahamas do. Once they know that track and field or CARIFTA Games taking place in Grenada or Guyana or wherever, and it's available to start booking, they start booking. They start inquiring about hotel accommodation and these sort of things. They don't wait until a month or two before. That's for those who, just decide that they want to go. But the bulk of the people start making their preparations very, very early. So we'll ensure that, early preparations, because we want to make it a big, big celebration come Easter 2023 in the Bahamas. 50 years of CARIFTA Games, 50 years of the Bahamas. I am certain that it will be a big, big show, that you won't want to miss. It's not, well, for those who really can't make it, of course, it will be on television, but I'm certain you want to be part of the experience. You want to be there. So I heard that, I don't know if it's serious, but I heard someone in Grenada talking about a charter and things like that. I mean, make it serious. If it started off as a joke, please try to make it serious, folks. Yeah, thank you very much for being part of our program. The invitation is to join us come next Wednesday, when we certainly will have another discussion. Always a pleasure chatting with you, and I want you to have a very pleasant weekend. Whatever you do, just do it with some level of moderation and continue to support our sportsmen and sportswomen, whatever they are participating, whatever sporting discipline they are participating, and wherever they are participating. I am Michael Bascom, wishing you a pleasant